20 forgotten stores that defined growing up in 80s America. Do you remember the thrill of stepping into a favorite store? The smell, the music, the excitement of discovering something new. Sadly, many of those stores are now only memories. Let's take a trip down memory lane and revisit 20 once-beloved retail names that shaped our shopping experiences and disappeared far too soon. Sports Authority. Sports Authority's rise and fall is a classic case of a retail titan falling behind in a race it once led. Originally established in 1928 as GART Sports, it spent decades merging and growing until it became a household name for athletic gear. For many families, it was the go-to place for cleats, yoga mats, and Little League equipment. But then the 2010s hit. Competition from Amazon and Walmart, along with a failure to modernize, began chipping away at its success. The company simply couldn't keep up with the fast-changing shopping habits. In 2016, Sports Authority shut its doors for good, liquidating assets and leaving behind empty storefronts and loyal customers with nowhere to turn. Interestingly, the name didn't vanish into thin air. Dick's Sporting Goods snapped up the branding rights, a reminder that in retail, even fading names can still hold value. Wet Seal. Back in the early 90s and 2000s, malls were the place to be, and Wet Seal was the spot for young women on the hunt for trendy, affordable clothes. What started as a tiny shop called Lawns in 1962 eventually became a mall staple by 1990, complete with flashy accessories and style-forward outfits that didn't break the bank. Sister brands like R&B and Blink gave it even more flair. But fast fashion giants like Zara and H&M and later online juggernauts like ASOS pushed Wet Seal out of the spotlight. By 2015, the cracks were visible, and despite closing stores and cutting costs, Wet Seal couldn't keep afloat. It closed for good in 2017, leaving thousands without jobs and fans without a favorite shop. Its website still floats in cyberspace, a digital echo of a once vibrant brand. Tower Records for music lovers. Tower Records was more than a store, it was a sanctuary. Founded by Russ Solomon in 1968, it grew from a humble beginning in Sacramento to a global chain, with its San Francisco store becoming a cultural landmark. People didn't just buy records there, they discovered music. It inspired films, like Empire Records, and reflected a whole generation's way of connecting with sound. But then came Napster, iTunes, and digital downloads. Physical albums gave way to files, and Tower couldn't adapt fast enough. In 2006, it shut down. But in 2020, the name returned online, offering music and merchandise for those still holding on to the magic. CompUSA. Once a tech lover's paradise, CompUSA filled shelves with computers, accessories, and gadgets galore. It competed directly with Best Buy and was a weekend staple for anyone shopping for electronics. But the company made a critical mistake. It stopped evolving. Its stores and strategy became outdated as the tech industry surged forward. Shoppers moved online, and innovation passed CompUSA by. By 2008, it was sold to Systemax, rebranded as Tiger Direct. But that ship soon sank too, closing in 2015. CompUSA's fall is a reminder in tech, you either adapt or disappear. KB Toys. Originally a candy store in 1946, KB Toys quickly pivoted to become one of the most recognized toy retailers in the country. By the late 90s, it had over 1,300 locations, bringing joy to kids and nostalgia to adults with every visit to the mall. However, poor business decisions, including a questionable dividend deal in 2002, left the company weakened. A drop in sales and rising debt led to bankruptcy filings. In 2009, it was bought by Toys R Us, ending its independent run. For many, KB Toys represented childhood, holidays, and birthday surprises. Its absence left a hole in mall culture. F.W. Woolworth Company, before Target. Before Walmart, there was Woolworths, born in 1879 in New York. Frank Woolworth revolutionized shopping with fixed prices and open displays, letting customers browse freely instead of going through clerks behind counters. It wasn't just a store, it was an experience, from 5-cent candies to their beloved lunch counters. Woolworths was an American icon. But over time, retail changed. Shopping malls replaced downtown strips, and new competitors emerged. Woolworths pivoted to focus on its athletic shoe line, eventually becoming Foot Locker. Still, many remember the original store as the first place they ever felt the magic of shopping. Warner Brothers Studio Store. In the 90s, walking into a Warner Brothers studio store felt like stepping into Saturday morning cartoons. These shops were bursting with Bugs Bunny plushies, Batman collectibles, and shelves filled with Looney Tunes gear. It was a dreamland for both kids and movie buffs. Launched in 1991, the stores quickly expanded, with over 130 locations nationwide. But when AOL merged with Time Warner in 2001, the winds shifted. The company turned its attention to digital ventures, leaving retail behind. The stores closed for good on New Year's Eve 2001, ending an era where shopping and Hollywood magic met under one roof. Payless Shoe Source, launched in 1956 by cousins Louis and Sheol Posies. Payless became a go-to destination for families seeking affordable shoes, whether it was church loafers, gym sneakers, or back-to-school basics. The store had it all, and at prices that didn't hurt your wallet. Kids of the 80s and 90s will remember Pro Wings, a line that became almost a rite of passage. You didn't need a clerk or fancy setup, just grab your size from the shelf, try it on, and go. But as shopping habits changed in the 2000s, Payless fell behind. Online giants and fast fashion brands started to dominate. Even with efforts to modernize, the damage was done. In 2019, the chain shut down all North American stores after filing for bankruptcy twice. Still, Payless lives on overseas and online, keeping its legacy alive for bargain-loving shoppers. Ames. If you grew up in small-town America, you likely had an Ames nearby. Founded in 1958, it skipped the big cities and planted roots in underserved communities. That strategy helped the chain grow fast, eventually opening hundreds of locations across the country. But trouble started brewing in the 80s. Ames took financial risks, like offering store credit that didn't pay off. Bankruptcy followed in 1990, but the company pulled off a brief comeback. By 1993, it was profitable again. Unfortunately, that didn't last. A second bankruptcy came in 2001, and this time, Ames didn't recover. Still, in 2023, rumors of a comeback stirred nostalgia. Whether it returns or not, Ames remains a fond memory for many. Tivana began in 1997 as a cozy tea shop started by Andrew T. Mack and his wife. Their love for high-quality tea led to rapid success, and by 2012, Starbucks bought the brand for $620 million. It was a bold move into the tea market. But despite early excitement, the mall-based stores struggled. In 2017, Starbucks closed all 379 locations, shifting focus to online and in-store sales. Still, Tivana teas are served in Starbucks today, a lasting reminder of a small shop that made it big. Have you ever tried Tivana tea? Which one was your true favorite? Share your experience in the comments below. Who knows? Maybe someone will find a kindred taste bud. The sharper image. In the 80s and 90s, Flipping through a sharper image catalog felt like stepping into the future. From massage chairs to flying alarm clocks, it was the ultimate gadget store. At its peak, nearly 200 locations let shoppers try out cool tech in person. But the Ionic Breeze air purifier, once a top seller, backfired after bad press and lawsuits. The company's reputation crumbled, and by 2008, it filed for bankruptcy. Still, for many, the memories of tinkering with futuristic toys remain strong. Circuit City founded in 1949. Circuit City quickly became a household name in consumer electronics, known for its wide selection and customer service. At its peak, it operated over 550 stores nationwide. However, by the early 2000s, the company began to decline, largely due to rising competition from Best Buy. Ironically, a company Circuit City had once declined to acquire. Best Buy's aggressive growth and forward-thinking strategies chipped away at Circuit City's market share. In a desperate attempt to survive, Circuit City cut wages and closed stores. But these measures weren't enough. After several years of mounting losses and leadership changes, Circuit City filed for bankruptcy and closed all its stores in 2009, ending a 6-decade run. Sam Goody. Sam Goody began as a small New York City music shop in 1951 and grew into a music retail powerhouse, especially after merging with Musicland. At its height, it operated 800 stores and became synonymous with music shopping. But with the rise of digital downloads and streaming in the early 2000s, traditional music retail took a hit. Sam Goody struggled to adapt, and despite being bought and restructured several times, it couldn't keep up with the shift to digital. By 2012, most Sam Goody locations had shut down or were rebranded as FYE for Your Entertainment, signaling the brand's effective end and a broader industry shift toward digital and diversified entertainment. A&P, the Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company, known as A&P, began in 1859 selling tea and coffee. Under George Huntington Hartford's leadership, it expanded dramatically, becoming the largest grocery chain in the world with over 16,000 locations at its mid-20th century peak. For generations, A&P was a staple of American life. But starting in the 1970s, the chain began to fall behind modern competitors offering better prices and more appealing store experiences. Efforts to modernize in the early 2000s were too late. After years of declining sales, A&P filed for bankruptcy in 2015, ending a 156-year legacy in American retail. Borders. Founded in 1971, became a beloved bookstore chain, known for its large selection, cozy atmosphere, and knowledgeable staff. With over 500 stores in the US and a strong international presence, it was a favorite among book lovers. But by the mid-2000s, Borders struggled against rising online retailers like Amazon and the popularity of ebooks. Attempts to expand online and diversify offerings weren't enough to stop the bleeding. By 2011, the company had closed all its stores, and Barnes & Noble acquired its remaining assets. Borders' downfall serves as a stark reminder of how quickly the digital shift can upend even the most beloved brick-and-mortar brands. Fry's Electronics founded in 1985. Fry's Electronics was a tech wonderland for DIY builders and gadget lovers. Each store had a wild theme from alien ships to ancient temples, making it more than just a shop. It was an experience. You could grab a motherboard and popcorn in one visit. Beloved by hobbyists, Fry's once rivaled Best Buy. But over time, online competition and internal issues took their toll. The pandemic was the final blow. In February 2021, Fry's closed all locations. For many, it wasn't just a store, but a quirky, nostalgic part of tech culture now gone. If fries still existed today, how do you think they should improve to compete with Amazon? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let everyone know. Radio Shack. Once the go-to store for electronics tinkerers, Radio Shack was founded in 1921 and began by serving ham radio operators and DIY tech enthusiasts. By the 1970s and 80s, it became a household name, especially after releasing the TRS-80, one of the first home computers introducing thousands to personal computing before Apple and Microsoft went mainstream. For decades, it was the shop where you could grab a weird adapter, a CB radio, or just a pack of batteries. But as technology evolved and DIY culture faded, so did Radio Shack's relevance. Online retailers like Amazon and big box competitors stole its market. Efforts to rebrand and modernize failed to gain traction. By 2017, Radio Shack filed for bankruptcy. Most stores shuttered, and the brand now barely exists through a few independent shops and an online presence. Still, for many, it remains a symbol of the golden age of hands-on electronics. Toys Us for generations. Toys Us was the ultimate toy paradise. Founded in 1948, it became synonymous with childhood joy, offering everything from bikes and board games to video games and dolls all under one roof. Its colorful aisles, catchy jingle, and mascot Jeffrey the Giraffe created lasting memories for millions. But as retail trends shifted and competition from Walmart, Target, and Amazon grew fierce, Toys R Us struggled. Despite attempts to modernize, the company couldn't keep up with the pace of e-commerce. In 2017, it filed for bankruptcy, and by 2018, most US stores were gone. The final 2 stores closed in 2021. While the brand continues to exist in Canada and parts of Asia, in the US, its absence marks the end of an era. Blockbuster. In the era of VHS tapes and Friday night movie rentals, Blockbuster was king. At its peak, it had over 9,000 locations worldwide, becoming the place where families and friends browsed for hours, picking the perfect film. But as Netflix introduced mail-in DVDs and later streaming, Blockbuster failed to pivot quickly. Its late attempts to launch streaming services and partnerships fell flat. By 2014, Blockbuster closed nearly all locations, leaving just one store in Bend, Oregon. That single franchise is now a nostalgic landmark, reminding us of a time when picking a movie was half the fun. Did any of these stores bring back a special memory for you? Maybe it was a favorite toy aisle, a late-night electronics run, or your regular Friday movie ritual. Share your story in the comments. We'd love to hear it. If this nostalgic trip warmed your heart, don't forget to check out our other videos for more memories and forgotten gems from the past. And remember to subscribe and share this video with your friends and loved ones. Let's keep the spirit of these iconic stores alive together. Thanks for watching.